Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Ever feel like, I don't know, like you're just constantly trying to keep up, but you're out of sync with your own life?
Yeah, totally. It's like we're all on this treadmill, but
But nobody gave us the instruction manual.
exactly.
And that's where today's deep dive comes in. We're going to be exploring Samantha Redgrave's book, Flow.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, it's all about cyclical living, and it's making waves in the self-help world.
I can see why for sure.
You can find a link to the book in the description, by the way. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive so far, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show for more. Okay, so Redgrave, she's a hypnotherapist and wellness expert.
Okay.
And she argues that aligning with these cycles, these natural rhythms, can be incredibly empowering.
I like that.
The book focuses on 4 interconnected cycles: the life cycle, the seasonal cycle, the lunar cycle,
Yeah.
and the menstrual cycle.
Oh, right.
Now, we won't be diving into the specifics of the menstrual cycle today.
Yeah, good idea. Makes it more accessible to everyone.
Exactly. We want this deep dive to resonate with all listeners.
Yeah,
But the core principles, I think, can still offer valuable insights for everyone.
definitely. I agree.
So to kick things off, let's talk about the life cycle and the 4 female archetypes that Redgrave introduces: the maiden, the mother, the wild woman, and the crone.
Okay, the 4 archetypes. Got it.
Now, before anyone gets intimidated by these terms,
Yeah.
it's crucial to remember that these are not rigid boxes or age-specific categories.
Right.
They're more like energies or aspects of ourselves
How
that
about?
ebb and flow throughout our lives.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
So Redgrave really emphasizes that we can connect with any of these archetypes at any point in our lives,
Yeah.
regardless of age or traditional milestones.
Makes sense. We're not stuck in one archetype forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And each archetype has both a light and a shadow side. So, for example, the maiden. She represents new beginnings, innocence, that sense of boundless possibility.
Maiden. Okay.
She's full of energy and enthusiasm, eager to learn and explore the world. But her shadow side might manifest as naivete. Maybe a tendency to people-pleaser
Oh, yeah.
or difficulty setting boundaries.
Interesting. So how does Redgrave connect that to societal conditioning?
That's what I find so interesting. She talks about how, particularly for women, the maiden is often encouraged to be good and agreeable.
Yeah. Be nice, be quiet.
Exactly. Which can sometimes stifle her authentic self-expression.
It's like those societal pressures can prevent the maiden from fully embracing her power and independence.
You got it.
Yeah.
And to address this, Redgrave offers specific rituals and practices for each archetype, helping us tap into their strengths and heal any wounds that might be holding us back.
I like that. Practical tools.
So, moving on from the maiden, we encounter the mother archetype. And again, this is not just about motherhood in the traditional sense.
Oh, right.
It's about nurturing and caring for ourselves and others, fostering creativity, creating a sense of community and belonging.
Okay, so the mother's more about nurturing, caring, and creativity.
What I find really compelling is that she positions the mother as a powerful force of resilience and transformation.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
She talks about how the mother can reframe setbacks as opportunities for growth and turn challenges into fuel for her creative fire.
Okay, yeah, that's powerful. So it's not all about self-sacrifice.
Exactly. It's not defined by weakness, but by her strength, her ability to nurture life in all its forms.
I like that.
But, of course, like all archetypes, the mother also has a shadow side.
Oh, right.
And Redgrave explores how this might manifest as overgiving, a tendency to lose oneself in the needs of others, or difficulty setting healthy boundaries.
So it's about finding that balance, I guess.
Right. And she also dives into the concept of the mother wound, which is, I think, a really important topic.
Ooh, I've heard of that.
It delves into how unresolved issues from our own childhood or past experiences can influence our current relationships and patterns of behavior.
Yeah, it's a complex topic for sure.
Definitely. And Redgrave handles it with sensitivity and depth. She offers practical tools for healing this wound,
Good.
encouraging self-compassion and a deeper understanding of the patterns that might be holding us back from fully embracing the mother archetype's positive qualities.
That's good.
And now for something completely different. Let's talk about the wild woman. This archetype embodies freedom, authenticity, and unapologetic self-expression.
Oh, I like her already.
She's connected to our instincts, our passions, our untamed nature. And what's really interesting is how Redgrave links the wild woman to the challenges and transformations that many women face as they move through different stages of life.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
It's like This archetype embodies the courage to break free from societal expectations and embrace our true selves.
Right, even when it feels risky or uncomfortable.
Exactly. And you could definitely see how the wild woman might clash with some of those good girl expectations we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah, totally. She's here to shake things up.
Exactly. To remind us that we don't have to fit into any mold.
I love that.
But of course, like all archetypes, there's a shadow side to the wild woman as well.
Right, right.
And Redgrave explores how this might manifest as recklessness, a fear of vulnerability, or difficulty maintaining healthy relationships.
So it's about finding that balance again, like embracing our wildness, but also honoring our need for connection.
It's a dance, isn't it?
It is, it is.
Finding that sweet spot.
And I bet she has some practices for us, right?
You bet. Redgrave offers specific practices for connecting with the wild woman's power, while also cultivating a sense of balance and self-awareness. I'm already starting to see these archetypes reflected in my own life.
Me too. I think that's one of the things that makes Redgrave's work so powerful. It provides a framework for understanding ourselves and our journeys in a way that feels both insightful and relatable.
Absolutely. And finally, we reach the Crone archetype, which Redgrave describes as the wise woman.
Okay, the crone.
She embodies experience, intuition, and a deep connection to the cycles of life and death.
And I bet this one gets a bad rap, huh? Our culture kind of worships youth, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's often misunderstood and even feared. But Redgrave challenges those stereotypes, presenting the Crone as a source of immense wisdom and power.
Okay. So not a scary old witch then.
Not at all. And she doesn't shy away from the shadow side of the Crone either. She acknowledges that this archetype can sometimes manifest as bitterness, isolation, or a tendency to become overly critical or judgmental.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a reminder that even as we gain wisdom and experience, we still need to cultivate compassion, forgiveness, and a willingness to let go of old patterns and resentments.
So we've met all four of these powerful archetypes. But how do they actually play out in our day-to-day lives? It all feels a bit abstract right now.
That's where the other cycles come in. By understanding how the seasonal, lunar, and menstrual cycles intertwine with the life cycle, we can start to see how these archetypal energies ebb and flow within us.
So that's how we connect these grand concepts to our actual experiences. This is getting good. I'm ready for more.
Me too. And that's exactly where we'll pick up in the next part of this deep dive.
Welcome back to our exploration of flow. We just met those four fascinating female archetypes, and now we're ready to kind of dive into the seasonal cycle.
Ooh, yes.
It's this concept that's, deeply rooted in like ancient traditions and agricultural rhythms.
I gotta say, this idea really intrigues me because, honestly, I've always felt a shift in my own energy and mood as the seasons change, but I never really connected it to personal growth or self-discovery.
Yeah, that's where Redgrave's insights are so cool. She explains that each point on the wheel of the year, those 8 Sabbats that mark the season's turning points, they carry specific energies we can actually tap into for greater self-awareness.
Okay, I'm all ears. So let's start with Astara, the spring equinox.
All right, Astara.
What does Redgrave say about, harnessing its energy?
So, just like the Maiden archetype we talked about earlier, Astara is all about new beginnings, fresh starts, and that burst of energy that comes with spring. Redgrave suggests, setting intentions and planting seeds, both literally and metaphorically, during this time.
So it's not just about, gardening. It's about planting seeds for our goals and dreams, too.
Exactly. It's like you're not just writing a list. You're actively collaborating with nature's energy.
I love that. So much more engaging way to approach goal setting.
And what's fascinating is how she connects this, ancient wisdom to modern psychology, right? She encourages us to use Astara's energy to step outside our comfort zones and challenge those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back.
So, embracing that springtime boldness.
Yeah.
And allowing ourselves to grow in new directions.
Precisely. She even offers this practical technique for anchoring positive feelings to a specific word or gesture. It's like creating your own personal power move to boost your confidence and motivation.
Okay, I am definitely going to try that. So as we move around the wheel of the year, we come to Beltane.
Beltane, yes.
A celebration of love, sexuality, and abundance. I'm feeling the heat already.
It's all about embracing our sensuality, creativity, and joy. And Redgrave highlights the fiery energy of this Sabbath, suggesting rituals that help us tap into those passionate, playful aspects of ourselves.
Okay, speaking of playful, who could forget the simmer pot?
The simmer pot, right.
I have to admit, when I first read about making a simmer pot to attract good luck, I was like, really?
I get it. It does sound a bit like kitchen witchcraft, doesn't it?
Totally. But then I read Redgrave's explanation of the energetic principles behind it, and it actually started to make sense.
Right.
It's like you're infusing your environment with the scents and energies of specific herbs and flowers to create a tangible representation of your
You're
desires.
working with nature's energy in a very intentional way.
Okay, so as the wheel turns, we arrive at Lifa, the summer solstice, the peak of the year, right? The
Yeah.
longest day, the most sunshine. It just feels like a time for celebration.
Absolutely. Redgrave describes Letha as a time to bask in the warmth of the sun, celebrate our achievements, and really savor the abundance of life.
Yeah, I like that feeling of just being fully present in the moment.
Exactly. But Redgrave also acknowledges that even when things are going well, we can sometimes get in our own way. So she connects this Sabbath with the theme of self-sabotage,
Oh,
urging us to be mindful of those patterns and behaviors that might be holding us back from experiencing, true fulfillment.
yeah, that's such an important reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in the momentum of summer and forget to check in with ourselves and, make sure we're truly aligned with our values and desires.
Exactly. And to kind of help us stay on track, Redgrave offers a really powerful ritual for recognizing and releasing those self-limiting patterns so we can move forward with greater clarity and purpose.
Like using the summer solstice's energy to shed those old patterns
Yeah.
and embrace our full potential,
Exactly.
just like nature's bursting with life all around us.
And speaking of abundance, she also emphasizes the importance of self-appreciation during this time, encouraging a daily practice of gratitude for all the amazing things we do, no matter how small.
Oh, I love that. It's like a reminder to celebrate our wins, acknowledge our own efforts instead of always focusing on what we haven't accomplished yet.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially, with how fast-paced everything is.
Totally. But by pausing to acknowledge our accomplishments and appreciate our own strengths, we can cultivate a sense of self-worth and confidence that will, carry us through the rest of the year.
Exactly.
So as summer starts to wind down, we reach Lammas, the first harvest festival.
Lambs, yes.
What kind of energy does this Sabbath bring?
Lammas is a time to, reap what we've sown, both literally and figuratively. It's about acknowledging the fruits of our labor and expressing gratitude for the abundance in our lives.
It's like taking a moment to appreciate how far we've come, acknowledge all the effort we've put in.
Exactly. And Redgrave reminds us to honor the sacrifices we've made, the lessons we've learned along the way. She even offers some fun and festive ways to celebrate this Sabbath, like making a corn dolly for good luck or baking bread to symbolize the completion of a cycle.
I love that, bringing the celebration of the harvest into our homes and everyday lives.
Exactly. And as the days get shorter, and the leaves begin to turn, we transition into Mabon, the autumn equinox.
Maven. Okay, so Maven is all about balance, right? Like the equinox itself, where day and night are of equal lengths.
You got it. And Redgrave suggests using this time to reflect on our values, assess our priorities, and set those healthy boundaries, to make sure our actions are aligned with our true selves.
Like taking stock of where we are, where we want to go, and what we need to let go of to, create a more balanced and fulfilling life. It feels very introspective, like nature itself is preparing for a period of rest and reflection.
And to support that process, Redgrave provides a ritual for creating a protective harvest wreath, symbolizing the creation of healthy boundaries in our lives. It's a beautiful way to connect with that energy of the season while also setting clear intentions for our well-being.
I love how she weaves together these practical tips with these symbolic rituals. It makes these concepts feel more like accessible, grounded in everyday life.
Definitely. And she also acknowledges that as the days grow shorter, we might feel the pressure to keep up the pace, even though our bodies are naturally craving more rest.
Oh, tell me about it.
She calls this seasonal stress, and she offers ways to combat it.
I definitely relate to that. It's so easy to get swept up in the busyness of life and ignore our natural need for downtime, especially when everyone around us seems to be operating at full speed.
Totally. So to counteract that, she encourages us to, tune into our body's signals, embrace the slower pace of autumn, and nourish ourselves with warming and grounding foods.
Like her recipe for sweet potato hummus.
Yes, exactly. It's delicious and nourishing.
Okay, so as we move deeper into autumn, we come to Samhain, a time associated with death and rebirth,
Samhain.
where the veil between the worlds is said to be thin. This one always feels a bit, I don't know, mysterious and spooky to me.
It definitely is a time for introspection and deep reflection. And Redgrave encourages us to embrace the shadow side of ourselves during this time, exploring those aspects we might normally try to hide or deny.
It's almost like a spiritual cleanse, isn't it?
Yeah.
A chance to face our fears and release what no longer serves us as we prepare to enter the darkness of winter.
I like that, a spiritual cleanse. And to facilitate this process, she offers this powerful journaling prompt for delving into those, deeper parts of ourselves, unearthing the wisdom that lies within.
I can already feel how potent that could be.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we enter winter, we reach the winter solstice, or Yule.
Yule?
It's the darkest point of the year, but it also marks the return of the light. It feels like a time for both, like introspection and hope.
It's a beautiful way to capture the essence of Yule. And Redgrave encourages us to, embrace the stillness of winter, to rest and recharge our batteries and to connect with our inner wisdom.
It's like giving ourselves permission to hibernate, just as nature does.
Exactly.
To slow down, turn inward, and nurture ourselves on a deeper level.
And even though it's the darkest time of year, Redgrave reminds us that it's also a time of, great potential. Just as the seed lies dormant beneath the frozen ground, waiting for the warmth of spring to awaken it, so too do our dreams and aspirations hold the potential for new beginnings.
Powerful reminder that even in the midst of darkness, there's always a spark of hope, a promise of renewal.
And to honor that spark, Redgrave offers this beautiful ritual for releasing old patterns and setting intentions for the new year, symbolizing a fresh start and a renewed sense of purpose.
I love how she brings the energy of the season into these rituals. It makes them feel so much more meaningful and impactful.
Yeah, it does.
Finally, we reach Imbolc, a time of hope and anticipation as we begin to sense the stirrings of spring.
Imbolc.
And I always think of Imbolc as like a time for dreaming and planning, for starting to envision the possibilities that lie ahead.
You're right on track. Redgrave connects the Sabbath with the themes of purification, self-compassion, and the awakening of our creative potential. And she encourages us to be gentle with ourselves as we emerge from that winter slumber and to nurture those, those fledgling dreams and ideas that are beginning to take shape.
It's like tending to those tender shoots of inspiration, just as a gardener carefully nurtures the first seedlings of spring.
And to support this process, Redgrave offers a beautiful ritual for honoring the goddess Brigid, who represents healing, creativity, and the return of light.
It feels like such a fitting way to close the wheel of the year, doesn't it?
It does.
We've journeyed through the darkness of winter and emerged into the promise of spring, carrying with us the wisdom and experiences of each season.
It's a beautiful reminder that life is a continuous cycle of death and rebirth, of letting go and embracing new beginnings. And by attuning ourselves to these natural rhythms, we can tap into a deeper sense of wisdom, resilience, and creative potential.
Wow, that was quite a journey. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the seasons, and how their energies can actually impact our lives.
Me too. And there's still more to explore.
Right. Next, we'll delve into the lunar cycle and the magic of working with the phases of the moon. Welcome back to our deep dive into Samantha Redgrave's flow. We've explored the life cycle, the seasonal cycle, and now we're stepping into kind of the luminous realm of the lunar cycle.
Ooh, the moon.
I've always been fascinated by the moon, but I never really thought about how its phases could, impact our personal growth.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. I mean, the moon's influence on the Earth is undeniable, right? We see it in the tides, animal behavior, even our own sleep cycles.
So how does Redgrave connect this, lunar energy to our personal lives?
Well, she suggests that, by attuning ourselves to the moon's phases, we can actually tap into a deeper level of energy and intention. It's like syncing our internal rhythms with those natural rhythms of the cosmos.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful. But, how do we actually do that? Is it just about gazing at the moon and hoping for the best?
Not quite. Redgrave provides some very practical guidance for working with the moon's energy. And one of the key concepts she introduces is the RAVE method for setting intentions.
Okay, the RAVE method. I'm intrigued. What does RAVE stand for?
So RAVE stands for respectful, achievable, values-led, and emotional.
Okay.
It's a way to approach manifestation, with a sense of grounded practicality and self-awareness.
So it's not just about wishful thinking.
Exactly. The RAVE method kind of helps us move beyond those vague desires and into conscious creation. It encourages us to set intentions that are both inspiring and achievable, aligned with our core values and infused with that emotional energy that fuels our dreams.
I love that. It's like taking a more intentional and empowered approach to manifestation, rather than just, hoping that the universe will magically deliver what we want.
Right. And to make those intentions even more potent, Redgrave suggests creating a manifestation sigil at the new moon.
A sigil, what's that?
So a sigil is it's basically a symbolic representation of your intention, a kind of visual mantra that you can charge with lunar energy.
Okay.
It's like a visual reminder of what you're calling into your life.
That sounds cool. I'm definitely going
Yeah.
to look into that. So what about the other phases of the moon? How can we work with their energies?
Well, as the moon waxes, growing fuller each night, Redgrave suggests focusing on like actions and rituals that support, growth and expansion. It's a time for taking inspired action, building momentum towards our goals, and really putting those intentions into motion.
It's like the waxing moon is giving us this like energetic boost to help us move forward with confidence and clarity.
Exactly. And then as the moon reaches its peak fullness, we arrive at the full moon, which is, a time of celebration, release, and culmination.
It feels like a natural time for reflection, doesn't it? Like a chance to look back on what we've accomplished and celebrate how far we've come.
You're right, and Redgrave actually offers this powerful ritual for harnessing the full moon's energy to attract prosperity and luck. And it involves creating moon water,
Moon water.
which is simply water that's been charged under the full moon's light.
Okay. It
Yeah.
sounds simple yet powerful, like you're infusing the water with the moon's energy and then using it to kind of amplify your intentions.
Exactly. And as the moon begins to wane, growing smaller each night, it's a time for like introspection, release, and letting go.
Okay.
Redgrave compares it to an inner autumn, a chance to shed what no longer serves us and create space for new beginnings.
That makes sense. Just as nature sheds its leaves in autumn to prepare for winter's rest, we too can use this phase to release, like old patterns, beliefs, behaviors that are holding us back.
And during this phase, Redgrave addresses this challenge that I think a lot of us face, imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, that feeling of self-doubt, inadequacy, like we're not good enough, smart enough, worthy enough.
Exactly. And she offers practical advice for overcoming those feelings, reminding us that, we are capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for. It's a time to step into our power and embrace our authentic selves, even when those pesky doubts kind of creep in.
It's a great reminder to be kind to ourselves, to acknowledge our achievements and celebrate our progress, even when it feels imperfect.
Absolutely. And as we complete this lunar cycle and approach the next new moon, we're invited to begin the process anew, setting new intentions, taking inspired action, and aligning ourselves with the ever-changing rhythms of the cosmos.
I never realized how much wisdom and practical guidance could be found in, like, the cycles of the moon. I'm feeling really inspired to start incorporating these practices into my own life.
Me too. It's a beautiful way to connect with the natural world and tap into a deeper sense of purpose and intention.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive, and I have to say I'm feeling a renewed sense of uh, empowerment and possibility. Like Redgrave has given us this roadmap for aligning with our natural rhythms and unlocking our full potential.
I completely agree. This book is a gift. It's a reminder that we are not meant to live in a constant state of push and grind. There's a natural ebb and flow to life. And by learning to embrace these rhythms, we can experience, greater balance, energy, and fulfillment in all areas of our lives.
So what does this all mean for you? Imagine what you could achieve if you truly embraced your natural ebb and flow. What would you prioritize? What would you finally let go of?
We encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into fascinating topics.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and keep flowing.